Wednesday, and welcome to this midweek moment. The first midweek moment in February, and this month, our midweek moments are going to be entitled Did You Know? Did you know something? Because it's Black History Month, did you know about someone that is huge, spectacular in Black history? My name is Minister Stephen Barrett, and welcome to this midweek moment. Not only am I a minister here at South Suburban Missionary Baptist Church, but I am also fire chief. I am the first African American fire chief in Sauk Village, Illinois. 65 plus years after the department was formed, they received their first African American fire chief. I am blessed to say that I am that guy. And I'm also blessed to say that I work with a bunch of amazing people. That brings us to my Did You Know? And my Did You Know is in reference to a great woman. Her name is Molly Williams. Molly Williams fought fires in the city of New York before 150 years before FDNY was even thought of, formed, organized, however you want to call it. Molly Williams was a black woman. She was a slave, and she was the slave of a wealthy businessman named Benjamin Amer, who dabbled in as a volunteer firefighter with the Oceanus Engine Company Number 11. So that was located in Lower Manhattan, not far from where Zuccotti Park is today. So Molly Williams was a cook. She was the cleaner. She was the fixer upper. She was the person that fixed the engines. And while she was doing these things, Molly Williams was also watching. Right, she was watching as the guys went out to calls, and she had did this quite a while, and she was starting to pick up on the things that they were doing. And one day, she some people might say that she was loaned to the firehouse by Mr. Amer. Other accounts indicates that she was brought by Amer to tend to his needs. So she was brought there to make sure that he didn't need nothing while he was volunteering or trying to play hero or whatever. And so she picked up on these things as they were doing their day-to-day job, and she became very, very good at what they did, right? And she already mastered her craft and what she was supposed to do. And so she always wore to work her calico dress and her checkered apron, and she had her scarf on. And she got her name particularly during the blizzard of 1818. Now, during the blizzard of 1818, I want to give you guys just a little history of what the fire service was back in the early 1800s. They didn't have the fire trucks that you guys see today, right? Ultimately, what they had was a wooded plank with uh, a pump on the back, and they pulled it, right? They didn't have horses. They didn't have none of that. They pulled these engines to every call, and then when they got to the call, they still had to perform. So it is pretty heavy, and I don't know how they could have did it back then. I know I couldn't have did it back then. Ain't no way that I was going to pull the engine to a scene and then actually have to work once you get there. That's crazy. But so in 1818 there was a blizzard in New York City, and so all the male firefighters, there was no female firefighters back then, and so all the firefighters were sick. They ended up catching the flu. There was a huge influenza outbreak. And so when they get this huge call for a house fire, and with people trapped, and it was just, it was a big deal, right? It was a what we might call today a 211 or a 311. It was a huge fire. Now when it's snowing and cold, we always go to a box alarm nowadays, right? And so we get more companies coming to help because we get fatigued more in the cold. So during this time, I can only imagine how Molly Williams felt, knowing that there are people that's trapped, there's people that's in need, and all the guys are sick, right? And so what she ultimately ended up doing is she took everything that they had, and she knew what to do, and so she took the engine to the call. Mind you, is a blizzard. So you got snow coming down. You already got snow. We know how the East Coast, when they get blizzards, they get hit, right? They recently just had a huge blizzard. Not this year, where a lot of people perished from that blizzard. So the East Coast get hit with storms, winter storms. That's pretty bad. And so here she's pulling engine to the scene of a fire. Molly Williams. Um, she wasn't a big stature woman. She was a very petite body build, and she just took pride in herself, right? And so I know how it is just trying to go at the grocery store when you're trying to push your cart out to your car after you gone grocery shopping, and it's snow and you got snow still outside, and it's just hard to push it, right? Sometimes the wheels stop and you gotta actually push, right? This amazing woman, Molly Williams, pulled this engine. And they say some note that the fire was 3 to 5 blocks away from the firehouse, and so she pulled this fire truck 3 to 5 blocks away. Not only did she pull the fire truck when she got there, she actually put the fire out. Right? She grabbed the hoses. She began to put the pump in operation, and she actually extinguished the fire. That's amazing. That is huge. That is big because it's just not something that's seen of a woman, yet alone a black woman in the 1800s. So, with Mrs. Molly Williams, her toughness earned her the nickname Volunteer Number 11, according to lore, right? So the FDNY, they didn't, after her, they have not gotten another female firefighter for another 164 years after her, right? She did such an amazing job. I'm just want to tell y'all this. Let me back up a little bit. She did such an amazing job to where all the men that were sick heard how well of a job she did. Now, mind you, I just told you guys that she was there on loan from a businessman, right? But she was such an amazing person to where she ended up getting a job there, right, as a volunteer. Of course, she didn't get paid, but she ended up getting a job there, and they call her volunteer number 11. They gave her a title, right, because of how well she performed this one day. Bring it forward, New York didn't get another female firefighter until 1982. And I can only imagine that she was inspired by Miss Molly Williams, who initiated all of this. Not only that, we can back up about 8 years before her. There was a lady in Virginia with the Arlington County Fire Department. Her name was Judith Brewer. She became the first career paid firefighter in 1974. So 1974, the United States got their first career firefighter, and then 2 years after that, in 1976, there was a young lady by the name of Tony McIntosh who became the first black career paid firefighter for the city of Pittsburgh. So Molly Williams became to, and that still was 150 years later. So Molly Williams, it didn't happen right away, but she was the trendsetter who started the ability for people to open their eyes to see that women can do this job. For the longest, for 205 years after Molly Williams extinguished this huge fire on a cold blizzard night. 205 years later, there's over 142,000 firemen currently employed in the United States, of which of that 142,000, 16,758 firefighter of those firefighters are women. So women are now starting to get their name in this profession. Women are now starting to do their thing. I know Chicago has a lot of strong black women in their fire service. I know the commissioner, she's a black woman and she's strong. I met her a couple of times and she's an amazing woman, know her job. And the thing is, not only do they know their job, but they can do the job. And so it's because of people like Molly Williams who gave people like me the opportunity and a start to do what I love, something that's great. So if you didn't know, now you know. God bless.